Mrs. Gates, Mrs. LeBlanc Parks,
Here.
Mr. or Mrs. Schaefer,
Here.
Mr. Wadsworth,
Here.
Mr. Rogers,
Here.
Mrs. Wagner.
In Mrs. Wagner's absence, we need to appoint a president pro tem. In the past, our vice president has served in that role. Is the board okay with moving forward as with Mr. Rogers as the president pro tem for this meeting?
Do you need a motion?
Not on this one.
I'm all right.
Then Mr. Rogers will be our president pro tem. Is there anyone willing to act as vice president pro tem for this meeting?
Sure.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Wadsworth. Then do I have
That was good.
do I have a motion for Mr. Wadsworth to be the vice president pro tem for this meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion on that? Roll call.
Mr. Fritz,
Aye.
Mrs. Gates, Mrs. LeBlanc Parks,
Aye.
Mr. Rogers,
Aye.
Mrs. Schaefer,
Aye.
Mr. Wadsworth,
Aye.
Mrs. Wagner.
So the record will reflect that Mr. Wadsworth will be the vice president pro tem for this meeting. Thank you. Put mute on this. It was almost like the fanfare,
Yes.
wasn't it? Okay.
We would like to ask Ms. Thorpe to do the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, tonight we'd like to take a moment to recognize and remember Louise Corkin, a remarkable educator whose impact on our schools and community will never be forgotten. Ms. Corkin's passion for teaching spanned an incredible 35 years, including 30 years in Dixon Public Schools, and another 20 years substitute teaching in retirement. She shaped countless young minds with her patience, wisdom, and unwavering commitment to education. Her dedication extended far beyond the classroom. She was a mentor, a role model, and a true advocate for students. Her kindness, generosity, and lifelong dedication to others left a lasting impact on everyone she met. Ms. Corkin believed in the power of education and in the strength of a community working together. Her legacy of service, compassion, and love for learning will live in the hearts of her students, colleagues, and the entire Dixon community. We are grateful for all she gave to our schools, and we honor her memory with deep appreciation and respect. Thank you, Ms. Corkin, for a lifetime of dedication. You will always be remembered. And also tonight, we remember Roxanne Mahan, a dedicated member of our school community whose warmth, generosity, and commitment left a lasting impact. A proud member of Dixon High School class of 1981, Roxy was involved in pom-poms and had the honor of marching in an inauguration parade for President Ronald Reagan in Washington, D.C. For 27 years, she served Dixon Public Schools, first as secretary to the Dean of Students and later as a secretary to the superintendent. Retiring in September of 2018, her kindness and dedication enriched the lives of students, staff, and families. Beyond her career, Roxy was deeply involved in the Dixon community, volunteering as co-chairman, room mother of St. Mary's School, cheerleading coach for Dixon High School, and the co-founder for Tools for Schools. Her vibrant spirit and selfless heart made everyone feel like a lifelong friend, always wearing a smile and put others before herself, leaving a legacy of compassion and service. Thank you, Roxy, for years of dedication. You will always be remembered. With that, we'll take a moment of silence. Thank you. move on to the consent agenda. Consent agenda as follows. Approval of regular meeting and special meeting minutes. Approval, DPS and LCSA, treasurer's report and monthly bills. Approve balance sheet and monthly expense report. Approve the discipline report, staff development report, monthly website and social media activity, and the fuel bid. Have a motion?
So moved.
I'll second.
Any
There-
discussion around those?
I was just gonna say, there's
Yeah.
nothing unusual
Okay.
in this one, other than that we do have the fuel bill bid, which you see every few months. So my recommendation is to approve it as presented.
Roll call. Mr. Fritz?
Aye.
Mrs. Schaefer? Aye. Mrs. LeBlanc Parks?
Aye.
Mr. Wadsworth?
Aye.
Mr. Rogers?
Aye. Special presentations. We'll start with Reagan Middle School Student of the Month.
Two hats.
Good evening. I'm Matt Magnifici, principal at Reagan Middle School, and it is my honor to recognize Jack Taylor and Carmen Patterson as Reagan Middle School Students of the Month. Both Jack and Carmen are very involved inside and outside of the school with different athletic activities as well as volunteer opportunities. Both students are very pleasant, well liked by staff and students, always smiling each and every day. They're both wonderful representations of students here at Reagan Middle School, and we're so proud to recognize them this month. Congratulations on your well-deserved honor, and best of luck the rest of the year.
Here I have the February Student of the Month at Reagan Middle School. Tell us your name
Jack Taylor,
and what grade are you?
8th grade,
What are your favorite activities?
golf, track, and basketball.
Who is your favorite teacher
All
at
of
Reagan
them.
Middle School?
All of them.
If you could change one school rule, what would it be?
Super Bowl Monday off,
Oh. And what is your proudest moment?
having all A's.
If you were given the opportunity to create a new club for Reagan students, what would it be
Boys volleyball,
and why?
because we don't have one.
And last, what advice would you give an incoming 6th grader about Reagan Middle School?
Do what you're supposed to do.
Hi, my name is Carmen Patterson, and I'm an 8th grader at Reagan Middle School. Some of my favorite things to do in and outside of school is hang out with friends, play volleyball and other sports, and inside of school I like to do group projects and experiments to like talk to friends in class or just like help understand more about what we're learning, and so it's like easier. And I really love all of my teachers and my past teachers very, very much, and I appreciate everything they did for me. But if I were to choose one, I would probably have to say Miss Page, because she was so incredibly sweet and helped like with so much, and he made every day so fun, and I never had a dull moment with her. One of my proudest moments was getting Student of the Month. I've always dreamed of getting this, and I'm actually very proud of myself for getting it and very happy. And I'm very proud of myself for just getting it, and yeah. And but if I had to change one rule at Reagan, it would be to not be so like strict on having our cell phones out, because like sometimes a lot of the times I have like nothing to do, and like I just sit there sometimes because I get bored, so I just sit there, and like I wish we could like, you know, just play our phones. But if I could create a club at Reagan Middle School, it would be like where you bring your friends and like a group, and we just like go out on like the weekends or even like a weeknight and just like play different sports or like a game, and then just like hang out after. One thing I would tell an incoming sixth grader is to not stress it. It is, when I was going into sixth grade, I thought it was going to be so much and so hard. It's not hard, and all the teachers and the counselors help you out so much, and they're also nice, and unless you make them mad, but you shouldn't because they're so nice and you have no reason to make them mad. But it's not that hard, and they help you get through it.
Yes, please. Here, stand right on up so you can.
Nice.
Sometimes the board asks questions, other times they just give you pats on the back, so. Board.
I had a question. What are both of you looking forward to in high school the most?
Driving.
Driving! All right. Awesome. Carmen?
I also can't wait to drive.
So I thought you were going to say softball. Just kidding. Kidding. Awesome. Well, very good. Congratulations to both of you on your achievement. So well deserved.
Thank you.
Any others?
Did your team win the Super Bowl?
No.
Sorry. We'll let it go.
Good evening. This is Jared Shaner, principal of Dixon High School, and it is my honor to introduce to you our February Student of the Month, Delaney Bruce. Delaney is another great example of what we want our students here at DHS to be about. Delaney is a strong academic student who has challenged herself with honors and AP classes all through school. She is near the top of her class and has participated in sports and extracurricular activities such as volleyball, softball, and Key Club. Delaney is a wonderful young lady and very deserving of this. Congratulations to Delaney Bruce.
Hi, my name is Delaney Bruce, and I'm a senior at Dixon High School and February Student of the Month. Activities that I've been involved in are Key Club, volleyball, and softball. If I had to describe my senior year in 3 words, I would describe it as nostalgic, bittersweet, and challenging. My favorite teacher at Dixon High School would be Mr. Winterland because he can always make me laugh and he pushes me to do my best and work my hardest. Advice that I would give to incoming freshmen is to be involved. Whether that's with sports, clubs, extracurriculars, or going to events, you never know who you could meet or the connections you could make, and it's always beneficial. If I had to create a mandatory class for future seniors, it would be a life skills class to teach students how to live independently. This could include things like basic cooking skills, car maintenance, taxes, credit cards, loans, just things that would be useful to know outside of school. My plans for next year are to go to SOC for nursing, and in 5 years I see myself furthering my education in nursing and going to school to become a nurse practitioner. I'm honored to be the Student of the Month for February, and I'm excited for these last few months at Dixon High School. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Matt Magnifici.
I hope you guys don't let Delaney off that easy.
I want to get more. Perfect. Thank you.
As you can tell by our video, Delaney is a very well-spoken young lady. And what I said in the video is just totally true. We would take a high school full of young women like this. She is always has a smile on her face, always kind, helpful, just a really thoughtful young woman, and a great example of what we want our kids to be. So.
She answered all my questions.
Easy today. Yeah.
Well, not necessarily.
No.
You thought about medical school?
I have, but personally, I don't want to go to school for that long, so it's like in between with nurse practitioner.
With someone who went to school quite a while, it's well worth it.
Yeah.
And you certainly have the ability, not only intelligence, but your personality too. I think you'd be great.
Well, thank you.
Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Mrs. Dallas, are you our, no, Mrs. Bourne?
Thank you.
You're welcome. I'm looking back there, I'm like, I have so many to choose from right now.
All right, well, Jefferson was representing this month. Holy cow. We had 22 individuals nominated for Teacher of the Month, 13 of which came from Jefferson. So they're doing big things over there. Miss Thorpe, you should be quite proud. All right, we have one from Washington, Rhonda Scott, and then from Jefferson, Candace Bykema, Kelsey Stone, the entire second grade team, Daniel Andrews, Paige Sutton, Lisa Hoyle, Brittany Pitzer, Jordan Saunders, Suzanne Weaver, Carly Schultz, Jen Keel, Kim Conderman, and Tisha Kingham, all of those from Jefferson. From Madison, Jen Freeman. From Reagan, Jenny Gasso, Barb Zimmerman, Allie Goley, Addie Pace, John Taylor, and then from the high school, Erin Rogers, Stacy Hansen, and Leslie Butler. And this month's gift card winner goes to Barb Zimmerman from Reagan. And this was for both, it came as a combo. She and Jenny Gasco both did a wonderful job planning and executing the RMS School Spelling Bee. Great job, ladies. And I believe that is tomorrow at the high school for the spelling bee. So good luck to our representative Max for that. So thank you.
We do move on to citizens agenda. We do have Miss Angela Shippert signed up.
If you want to just come right up here, or right here, wherever you're most comfortable.
Great.
How you do?
Wow, it's really refreshing to hear such positive things coming out of here. Congratulations to the students and to the teachers that won that. I have something a little bit more hard-hitting that I want you guys to consider tonight. It's about the public posting of one of the teachers at DPS, which is Mr. Tom Padilla. So I just wanted to say, my name is Angela Shippert. I'm a concerned taxpayer within this district. I stand before you tonight to express my dismay and disappointment regarding a recent decision to retain a teacher who has not only violated federal law, but also our district's own code of conduct and employment handbook. I saw that employment handbook is on the agenda, and I think, you know, this place is such a positive place, and that's what it needs to remain. The teacher's actions via his posting on Facebook, which included making threats against the life of the president, are not only reprehensible, but also illegal under 18 U.S. Code 871. The statute clearly states that anyone who knowingly and willfully makes the threat to take the life of the president shall be fined or imprisoned up to 5 years. Moreover, the teacher's conduct violates our district's code of conduct as well, which emphasizes the importance of creating a safe and respectful environment for students and staff. By failing to take the appropriate action, the district has not only broken its own rules, but sent a message that such behavior is tolerated. As taxpayers and members of the community, we entrust our school district with the responsibility of educating and safeguarding our children. It's imperative that we hold our educators to the highest standards of conduct and accountability. Retaining a teacher who has violated this law in our district's code of conduct undermines the trust and jeopardizes the safety and well-being of our students. I urge the board to consider tonight its decision to take immediate action to address this serious issue. We must ensure that our schools remain safe havens for learning and growth, free from threats and intimidation. Thank you for your attention and consideration. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we will move to action item. First action item is to approve the first reading of board policies. Okay, motion?
So moved.
Second.
The Board Policy Committee met last week to review all of the policies. Sorry. There were no substantial changes to any of the policy. Mostly footnotes were updated in regards to Title IX changes that are continuing. As I said, with the new administration, I anticipate those possibly changing again. And anything related to any footnote updates with any law changes. So my recommendation for this month is that we accept them for a first reading. As a reminder, next month would be the second reading and then the final adoption. Were there any questions regarding any of the board policies?
Has the policy committee looked at these yet?
Yes, we met last week.
Any other questions? Okay, roll call.
Mrs. Schaefer? Aye. Mrs. LeBlanc Parks?
Aye.
Mr. Wadsworth?
Aye.
Mr. Fritz?
Aye.
Mr. Rogers?
Aye. Okay, next action item is to approve the non-union educational support employee handbook. Motion?
So moved.
Second.
The non-union educational support employee handbook is what governs over like our secretaries and our nurses and our custodians, those that do not have a bargaining union for them. And one of the things that we wanted to do with the exiting of Diane and the incoming of Erin was to make sure that our policy handbook was up to date. They found a couple of areas that needed to be updated, and we ran them by our district attorney to make sure that everything was correct. And so we're recommending that you approve the revised non-union educational support handbook. Any questions regarding the handbook?
Okay, roll call.
Mrs. LeBlanc Parks? Aye. Mr. Wadsworth?
Aye.
Mr. Fritz?
Aye.
Mrs. Schaefer?
Aye.
Mr. Rogers?
Aye. Action item to approve the health life safety amendment for Reagan Middle School, frames and doors. Motion?
So moved.
Second.
I wanted to take just an opportunity tonight to kind of describe for you what the health life safety process is. The last time we went through this, I'm not sure if any of you were on the board at that time. Every 10 years, we are required to go through what is called a health life safety survey. And basically, it is our architects who run that process, and they work off of a kind of a prescribed list from the state. And it covers every aspect of our buildings. And they identify things that have to be fixed, and they prioritize those things that have to be fixed in accordance with the laws associated with health life safety. So for example, something could be big, like a roof on a school. Other things could be small, like update the exit sign next to a door, something simple like that. And basically what happens is all of this gets input into the system through the state of Illinois. You, as a board, approve it as well, and then the state actually approves it. And in that triple process of approval, we gain access to our health life safety funds. Health life safety is a fund that has It's a levied fund, so it is taxpayer money. And we are not allowed to spend any of those dollars unless the project is in our health, life, safety review. So if you would look back over these past couple of years, we haven't spent any health, life, safety dollars because we had already completed all of the projects 10 years ago. We completed the ones that we needed to complete. And now we are actually going through that process again. It's been 10 years. This summer, our architects should complete this process and we will begin working through them. Some of them will be labeled A priority, so it's something that has to be fixed immediately. Others of them will be a B priority and you kind of get to it over time. Others of them might be a C priority that they just put on there. Like, for example, in our last 10-year health, life, safety review, painting the lockers at the high school was a C item. We're never going to do that. That's never going to actually take place. So that's kind of the big picture process that is taking place right now. As part of that, the ROE also does yearly inspections of every single school. And one of the items that has kind of been coming up year after year after year with them are these doors at Reagan. And these are the doors that, if you think about the school, they're at kind of like the top of the stairs outside of the cafeteria, the doors down below near the cafeteria, some of the doors at the gym, some of the doors at the end of the hall, walking outside of the cafeteria, that kind of thing. And basically what we're asking you to do tonight is we can't spend health, life, safety dollars to fix this until it is on our health, life, safety survey. Right now it's not on there because it isn't complete. So we would like to actually do an amendment to the one we did 10 years ago. And the reason we do that is this. If we don't do that, we can't purchase the materials. If we can't purchase the materials, it could take 60 to 90 days to get these materials in. So then we can't do the work this summer, and it has to get kicked down the road another 3 months, and we may not have the ability to actually get it done. This is going to be something that shows up on our 10-year this summer as our architects are working through it. They'll actually be done with it by spring break. But we want to be able to move forward with the process of actually ordering these materials. Our maintenance crew, as you know, we have a full-time staff union mason on staff. He would actually be the one doing this work and installing these doors and frames, which is something he did all out at Nichusa. He did all those doors and frames. It's something he's done around the other buildings as well. And he would be working with a couple other staff members on the maintenance department as well. I know it sounds kind of odd that we would be amending this one from 10 years ago. It's really not. It's really not it isn't. And throughout the course of a 10-year process, we would frequently ask you to potentially amend our health, life, safety from previously. To give you an idea of kind of where this goes over time, I did put together a very small kind of summary. This is the second page of one of your documents within your folder. Remember, we can't spend these funds. So right now, we have $800,000 in health, life, safety funds available to us because we haven't spent any of these funds for many years now. Now remember, these funds can only be spent on health, life, safety. They can't be moved to pay people's salaries or pay for transportation or anything like that. They are only for this specific process. And one of the things I tried to do with this, and I'm gonna first kind of divert a little bit, we are in a process right now of working with every department and every school within the building to create a 10-year plan of needs. That includes not only facility needs, curriculum needs, technology needs, and every aspect trying to plan out and predict the next 10 years of what we are trying to do. This is preliminary draft of some of that work because we're just not quite there yet. But I did want to provide you what kind of a summary would look like with these things, because we can reasonably predict things that are going to be on this 10-year health life safety. The roof at Reagan is going to be on this. We know that it's going to be there. And if we do this right, we actually wouldn't need to use working cash dollars or county facility sales tax dollars. We could actually pay for the roof using our health life safety dollars. These doors, while expensive, again, this is something that needs to be done because basically the fire door, these are fire doors. They're not shutting. They don't shut properly. We got to get this work done this summer in order to make sure that we are passing inspections and moving forward. We've been working with these doors for many years, trying to make them work, adjusting them, moving them around, things like that. That's what we're asking you to do tonight, to approve an amendment to our health life safety so that we can move forward with a process of getting this approved through the state and then beginning the process of purchasing these items and then installing them this summer.
Any questions?
So I've only been here on the board for 3.5 years. I don't remember any other proposed amendments in the past.
No. And the reason is so we have intentionally not spent any money over the last 3 years. The reason is the architects are going to show up this summer with a list. Mm-hmm. And we're going to have to fix those things. Mm-hmm. So we've been stockpiling those funds, waiting for that. Now here's the good news, if you could take it as good news. 10 years ago, we spent $40 million. We went into debt, $40 million, to make all of these repairs. So as a result, we are anticipating a very, very small number of required repairs. But we do know these doors are going to be part of it. We believe that bathroom remodeling at Jefferson is going to be part of it. The roof at Reagan is going to be part of it. We can kind of reasonably predict some of these things. We believe that the controls for the fire systems at some of the buildings are going to require updating, because all that's that's computer based and so forth. So we can reasonably predict what some of these items are going to be, but as far as like the smaller, where we have to renovate complete schools and so forth, we already did that. I make the bond payments every 6 months on that one.
I remember that.
So that's why we haven't been asking
Makes
for
sense.
amendments.
And there's 800,000 roughly in health life safety now.
Right. So if you were to look at your treasurer's report, you would see that balance. That's the cash balance as of the end of January.
Do you anticipate spending all of that on the projects that come out of the 10-year HLS report, the architects bring?
Over the course of 10 years, yes. So one of the things that this spreadsheet does is it identifies kind of going across the running balance, where each year we will receive, the levy next year is $276,000. That'll go up by maybe 3% a year. It's kind of hard to predict exactly, but it should go up, and we should then be each year spending funds to complete the 10-year needs. But then again, the red bars in the last 3 years, we don't want to spend any of those funds. We want to let it build back up to that $7-8 million. This also kind of runs into if some of these items end up being more expensive than we're kind of predicting, well, then that could move a project later down the road or something like that. We have to be mindful of that. In addition to that, I like to have a zero barrier. It's nice to have $800,000 sitting in health life safety from an emergency perspective. So in my opinion, we don't ever really want to go below maybe a couple $100,000. We always want to have something in reserve for ourselves.
And if you didn't, if for some reason the board decided to not allow this amendment process, you could use a different fund to pay for the doors project. Is that right?
I could, but we don't have it.
We don't have it.
We don't have it. So this is how I am recommending to you we pay for these doors that need to be fixed.
Okay. We don't have it, sounds like a.
That's a little sensationalized. I would make a recommendation to
Okay.
you, as we've discussed fund balances last month as part of our overall perspective. I would make a recommendation that we are on a pathway towards building up county facility sales tax, our Fund 60 capital account. Our goal should be to get that back to $1 million. So we really need to be selective before we begin spending those funds again. Just as that's as a general comment.
Okay.
So again, do I want to spend $200,000 out of county facility sales tax? No, I don't. I can, we can. But again, what is our goal? Our goal, as part of, as I mentioned before, we're creating these 10-year plans. There's some nice big items on there that we want to get done, and those are going to be paid for through county facility sales tax. So we want to build those balances back up. That's what we're working towards.
Cool.
And again, the health, life, safety funds, if we don't spend it, we don't spend it. We can't spend it on anything else. So we need to spend it on the projects that we are required to do that match health, life, safety needs. Otherwise, we're spending funds that we could be spending on something else.
Yeah. So you've got details of the amendment process. There's an official process for doing this. You shared those with us.
Yeah, there's, and if you look at this one on here, this is, and again, it's a screenshot. This is the work. These are, it identifies the doors, it identifies the locations. This is the work, and there's actually a estimated number there per kind of the architect and what the industry standard numbers are.
Got it.
It's not a real clean, like when you go in there, you can click on these items and see more detail and things like that.
And what happens then is if the board would approve it tonight, then I go in under the state board system called IWAS, and I go in and note the approval date, the amount that the board approved, who was the president at the meeting, who was the vice president at the meeting, and then we submit it to the state so they know we have followed that proper procedure.
Cool.
Thank you, Mark. Any other questions? Okay, roll call.
Roll call. Mr. Wadsworth?
Aye.
Mr. Fritz?
Aye.
Mrs. Schaefer? Aye. Mrs. Long Parks? Aye. Mr. Rogers?
Aye. Next action item, approve the change in IMRF, authorized agent, to Aaron Krubik.
So moved.
Second.
Again, these are one of those change of guard things with Diane Fry retiring and Aaron taking over, that Aaron now becomes our authorized IMRF agent. And so my recommendation is we approve this.
Any questions? All right, roll call.
Mr. Fritz? Mrs. Schaefer? Aye. Mrs. LeBlanc Parks? Aye. Mr. Wadsworth?
Aye.
Mr. Rogers?
Aye. Next action item is approve the DEA collective bargaining agreement. The motion?
So moved. Second?
Okay. The Board of Education and Dixon Education Association have been in contract negotiations since last fall of this year. Both teams utilize the interspace bargaining technique, which has been a very successful process for the last 3 contracts. Both teams wanted to ensure Dixon Public Schools attracted and retains quality educators and to increase instructional time, and has been lost since the contract negotiations in the 1980s. The additional academic requirements from ISBE related to Illinois learning standards, in addition to teachers stating they are needing additional time for instruction, intervention, and support. We are adding 30 minutes to the end of the day, beginning with the 25-26 school year. School will begin at the same time, 7:45, but will end at 2:45 p.m. When analyzing the Northwest Division, a 7-hour school day is the norm, with 14 districts having 7-hour days. 14 districts have longer than 7-hour day, and 12 districts have less than a 7-hour day, from 5 to 30 minutes less. Adding 30 minutes of quality instructional time that must be directed at the core subjects can increase student learning, local and state test scores, and allow for intervention periods throughout the day without sacrificing instructional time. We also have created a Grow Your Own program to develop teachers in high needs, for example, special education, advanced classes, etc. We will be working with other employees to adjust their working hours over the next few months. And we will also be putting reminders out on our website and social media pages of the new school hours for next year.
We have, I'd like to invite anybody from the DEA negotiating team on up, please. That's right. We're in the process, after we know if the board approves this or not, of cleaning it up, and so I'm hoping by early next week we'll have it on our website, which is required by law. And we will begin that real big communication push so our parents understand about 30 minutes at the end of the day. I know in Community Engagement Committee, one of the things that was hard was altering the beginning of the day for a lot of parents and their work schedules. This is coming at the end of the day. And we'll get all that information out because we have kindergarten registration in about 2 weeks. So we want to make sure that our new kindergartners get that information. And ladies, is there anything else we missed? Anything y'all want to say?
We're very excited about the contract, and there's been a lot of things, a lot of positive feedback from our staff. We're very appreciative of the board and the negotiating team that we worked with. We had a DEA meeting today, and my message to them was that we really felt heard, and their response to us was they can't believe how much we were able to accomplish to demonstrate that. So very positive feedback. We were very excited about the additional time. I think it's going to do great things for our kids, and we just really appreciate the collaborative effort that was made. And we did, I'm excited. We did good.
I know we've said it at the negotiations meetings, but it's truly a team effort on both sides, and it's a way that the board and the teachers can feel like we are all together on the same side. So I just appreciate being a part of it.
Anything else? And the DEA approved it last night, so all that's left, are there any questions? I've kept the board up as much as we could through negotiations. Once the contract is all cleaned up, I'll be sending those out, like I said, as well as having them on our website. So any of the negotiators, there is a negotiator right here.
Two right here. It was such a pleasure working with you guys. It was a long process.
That's an understatement.
Yes. Really, I couldn't have asked for a better team. Super fun to work with all you guys. So let's do it again in 4 years, huh? 4 years?
We'll see. And Brandon Woodard is our other member, and he was a phenomenal asset. So we want to recognize him as well.
And the board is Melissa Gates and Linda Wegner, who are not here tonight, along with John.
And John, yeah.
So
I'll say kudos to both teams. All the hard work, late nights, long hours, yeah. So thank you, John, presently, but also the other two, but you guys as well. So yeah, so kudos.
Well worth it.
Yes.
I'm going to have you guys just kind of hang out for a second.
Okay. Do we have a motion?
We have a motion and a second.
We did, okay. Roll call then.
Mrs. Schaefer? Aye. Mrs. LeBlanc Parks?
Aye.
Mr. Wadsworth?
Aye.
Mr. Fritz?
Aye.
Mr. Rogers?
Aye.
We have a signing
Yes.
So-
Halfway thought.
Signing day.
So we'll get, and we can get Brandon on there, because obviously Linda and
Yeah.
Melissa will also need to sign. So, as soon as we can get those done, then we'll just slide that piece of paper into the contract.
Pass the torch. Would you like my pen? I think mine's.
Yes.
Okay. We all have our own.
Has their favorite pen.
That's right.
Alicia, you don't have your pom-pom pen?
Next time.
So you're saying we'll do it next time? Y'all heard that.
Everyone's signatures look so good, and that's
But you haven't seen mine.
And I think
My favorite
Linda
one
will
as
want
well.
Perks as secretary. I think there's a spot for you on there.
I have mine too.
All right.
No, it's not working.
We have some.
No, it's, yeah,
Just gotta shake it.
yeah. So do I put today's date? Because
Yes, that's fine, because the board did approve it on this date, even though others will sign after it was approved today.
Sign her.
And we haven't forgotten about our final get-together, and
Yes. Good.
so we'll be reaching out about that.
Wait till everybody's healthy in here.
Yeah, we get,
Oh, do I need to sign this too?
Covered.
Can I borrow your pen? I
You
do bring your pen.
absolutely can.
Where am I signing? Oh, board over here,
Yeah.
sorry.
Okay.
My last one then?
think so.
Okay. Thank you.
We'll take that. Put it in. Thank you so much. Thank you, guys.
Okay, on to information items. We'll start with administrator reports. Michael?
You want to start us off?
Yeah, if you had an opportunity to go through the business report, there were a number of articles that flip from one direction to the next on a daily basis, basically. So it's been interesting just to watch and see how the impacts of things being done at the federal level. And we're just kind of holding on right now, just kind of waiting for where we end up with that. I did want to bring a couple of things to your attention as it relates to that. Today, Governor Pritzker did give his state of the budget address. Their Illinois State Board of Education did ask for $140 million increase in mandated categorical spending. Mandated categorical spendings are reimbursements for transportation, orphanage, an orphanage revenue line, private facility tuition revenues, a couple of things like that. They asked for $142 million. Governor Pritzker's budget has only $20 million attached to it, and it is defined only as the orphanage reimbursement. So there is not, the reason I bring this to your attention, because we're going to have a conversation about transportation in a few minutes, there is no increase for next year in the governor's budget for transportation mandated categoricals. So that is a concern. Just kind of a couple of other things. We had notified you that we applied for a cybersecurity pilot through E-Rate. We did not get selected for that pilot program, just to kind of close the loop on it. We'll watch and see what happens with it and see how it kind of moves forward, even though we're not part of it. Last month, you asked me about our bond rating. And at the time, I was not allowed to tell you, but I had learned that day that we had moved from a Moody's A2 rating to an A1 rating, which is basically their higher rating. So just as evidence that we're moving in the right direction financially, but I thought it was funny that I kind of found out that day but I couldn't disclose it at that time.
Good job sticking with it.
One of the agenda items after this is for the SMPG grant. That's a small maintenance project grant through the state. We had notified you that of $101,000 worth of projects, and you had actually approved our half of the appropriation for that. We did that a few months ago. I did just kind of want to close the loop. That was officially approved. We will be doing seal coating and stripping of the playground at Washington, seal coating and stripping of the bus lane, parking lot, and some asbestos removal and floor replacement at Jefferson. DHS will be doing some seal coat and stripping of the teachers' parking lot, and here at the district office we'll be replacing some carpet upstairs and be doing seal coating and stripping of the parking lot out here as well as part of that overall process. So just to give you an update as to the status of that project.
And sorry, that was grant funds are funding that stuff?
Yes, those are grant funds. That's part of the SMPG. The last thing I wanted to do tonight, I left at your desk a 2-page document outlining operations and maintenance, as well as the transportation fund. Earlier in the year, if you remember, you approved a deficit budget. So we wanted to kind of circle back to you and kind of let you know kind of an overall status. Kevin and I have been working on his budget for operations and maintenance. His budget is actually looking stronger than our original projections were, and the adopted budget. Where he will, or where his department will have issues, I think, in their budget is when the health insurance allocation actually flows through his P&L. Basically, that's something we kind of do at the end of the year as we monitor health insurance costs. We then allocate it out based on our sites, based on the categories that individuals are paid out to, and the O&M fund as well for his staff, custodians, maintenance people, and so forth. Right now, health insurance costs are running exceptionally high. For Mr. Wadsworth, who was part of the negotiations that we just had with DEA, this was a topic of conversation, and we're now going to be having some pretty big discussions, not just with the bargaining units, but it'll be starting with our insurance committee, which has board representation as part of that committee in the first week of March. So we'll be looking to make some changes over time there with that. The next one was the transportation fund, and as I just mentioned to you, there's not going to be any more money coming from the state as far as next year, them improving what it is they are reimbursing us for. And unfortunately, even this year, we have found our categorical payments to be significantly lower by an estimated $250,000 than what our original budget was. Basically, what happens with these mandated categorical payments is, imagine a bucket of money, right? And the bucket's not getting bigger, it's not getting deeper. And they basically divvy those funds out for transportation based on the number of kids you're transporting, your overall costs of transportation, and your mileage. So your bigger districts, your Rockfords, your Plainfields, your Napervilles, they get more of those funds. Your small districts, your Amboys and Ashton Franklins, they get very small amounts of money. Our numbers on the second page, we should receive about 1.5 million in categorical payments. That's the line item there for regular vocational and special education. That was originally estimated to be over 1.7 million. So we are taking a little bit of a hit there. Right now, our estimated expenditures, though, are on target with what the original budget was. So that is a good sign. We do seem to be kind of flowing in with what we thought it would be. The reason I bring this to your attention tonight is, one, I felt like it was important to give you an update, just to kind of let you know where we are. I think it's important that we have a philosophy kind of moving forward with transportation as part of the overall address of Governor Pritzker's budget. Reimbursement is declining for special education to 69%, and is estimated at 79% for regular transportation. The truth is even though those numbers are falling, the actual number will be less than that as well, because that's a prorated amount that they actually kind of publicize a number that's greater, but it's actually prorated to a lower amount than that. So I would anticipate that even next year's categorical payments to be actually lower. So we have to start now talking about how does transportation work? And we have to start asking ourselves questions about how do we change the way we do business so that we can live within our means of transportation as we go forward. Keep in mind, transportation hasn't made it for years. It really hasn't. There's always been some type of supplement to it, whether it was evidence-based funding or working cash or something. But now that number is growing beyond a point where we can continue to subsidize. Excuse me. We need to find ways to do it cheaper, more inefficiently, and so forth. Margot and I have engaged Illinois Central in contract discussions for a potential extension in hopes that that extension could, in the long haul, save us money. I'm not going to get into a great deal of detail on it or anything like that, but I wouldn't say we're there on it. There are some factors that they're requesting that at this point I can't agree to. Margot agrees as well. And that could push us to a point. We do have another call with them on Monday scheduled, so we'll see kind of how we move forward. But it could push us to a point where we will be planning a bid for next year. There are always options. There are always options with transportation. I've outlined some of these things on there. The first thing I will tell you about Illinois Central is I wouldn't underestimate them in one way. And I'm sure that there's people out there in the community who could complain about them, and certainly there are things that I've experienced with them that I could complain about as well. But across the state over the last 5 years, parents have experienced canceled routes the morning of. Sorry, bus 5 isn't going to run, good luck. And it has happened repeatedly in all districts across the state. Maybe not all, but a lot of them. That has never happened here. And the reason that has never happened here is because Karen Fossig, our director from Illinois Central, has a wide expanse of people she can call upon to sub and come in. She brings in people from Bloomington, from all up and down the state, and they'll come in and they'll drive for us daily, weekly, things like that. And she has never on a morning called me and said, Mark, I can't run bus 10, sorry, we just can't do it. That has not happened, and I will tell you that is few and far between in the district. One of the options, obviously, as we finish out our contract next year is to bring our transportation services in-house. We could do that. We could lease and purchase buses, we could hire our own drivers, hire a director, and yes, we'd be able to do it cheap. But we would be canceling routes on mornings. We would not have that bank of people that we could call upon. And if that's a decision that we decide to make in the future, I need the people sitting here at this table to understand that will be a factor that we have not experienced yet at this point. Another option, obviously, is to go to bid. The risk of going to bid is that we could actually end up with a much greater number than we have now. So we'll see. We'll see if that's where we end up. But in the end, what we have to start doing is really having big discussions that we will bring to you about how we have to do it different. Because we cannot live in a world where we are going to run 300,000, 400,000, 500,000 in deficit even after we are supplementing it with other revenue streams. We have to get this more to a sustainable factor. I just simply wanted to bring that to your attention tonight as part of the business report, so you're aware. I would just add as a final comment, some of you might be thinking, well, wait, we just approved a contract with teachers, wait. Remember, different revenue buckets. Transportation pays for transportation. You can't use transportation to pay for other things, okay? Teachers are not paid out of transportation. And what we have to do is start living within our means more with transportation.
Is our contract with Illinois Central the end of this?
The end of next year.
Next year.
So in a transportation, you would bid in like October.
Sure.
So this is, Margot and I have reached out to Illinois Central as is there an option here? Is there an opportunity where we can foresee cost savings in the future? Or do we need to begin preparing for what will ultimately be an October bid?
And they've been more than willing to speak with us.
You know what, I'll give them a lot of kudos. They listened to some of our concerns and they tried to come up with viable options that solve the problem. They have parameters they have to work within too. They're a company, they gotta make money, they gotta be able to, they gotta make it work, right? So with that being said, it is a negotiation.
Okay, thank you.
Look forward to updates on that.
Move on to the FY25 school maintenance project grant. I think you touched-
And I already kind of
You touched
summarized
base, okay,
that, but as part of it.
And then title family night.
That's me. In your board packet, you've got a flyer like this. And there's our title teachers, they meet every month. And our title, if you didn't know, they work with students with interventions, students needing extra assistance in math and ELA. But every year, they have a title family night, and they wanted to make sure I invited the board to the one that's coming up on March 18th. The first one that I got to participate in was right after COVID ended, and the title teachers and title parents told me then, yeah, we don't usually get many people come out for this thing, maybe 30 at max, and I think there was a lot of cabin fever at that point during the end of COVID, so we had over 100, and it's been carrying on ever since then. So now they've come up with theme nights. I think last year was pirates, if I remember correctly, so this year is camping, and they do things where there's family games, and kids get a free book, and parents are encouraged to read with their kids, and it's just a good time. And we also give them a meal, so it's going to be a campfire meal. I think we're going to have Arbor provide them with hot dogs and s'mores or something like that, so it'll be a good time. But they wanted to make sure that you guys knew about it and that you're welcome to come along.
Thank you.
Last month, we had the buildings give their SIP updates, focusing on the data piece of it. And if you remember, last month, Washington had their conscious discipline training. Excuse me, so Mrs. Kelly Lett, principal, is gonna come up and give you all an update. Washington, sorry.
Hello. Sorry. So we, like Margo said, we had to kind of push our data meeting back a couple weeks. We started by looking at our STAR data. So at Washington, well, how I like to think about it is we use our STAR data as like an overall screener, right? It shows us our kids that might be performing low, and then we can look at them closer by looking at our classroom data, so like our Amplify, our Envision, and because our interventions are very skilled based, and so we use that classroom data to form our groups and to decide what our interventions will be. So I provided you with a lot of information in our WIN plan, so feel free to read through it, and if you have any questions you can let me know at the end. But kindergarten is really focusing on those basic reading skills, so like alphabet knowledge, phonemic awareness, reading with purpose and understanding, so are the kids understanding what they're reading, and then tracking print. So those are some of the popular standards, but each class is a little different because they're looking at their data and at their kids and what they need. First grade, they had a main focus. They really want to focus on reading, so the fluency, and then also understanding what they're reading. And so they're using the Amplify, where there's some extra passages to reteach that skill, and then when they get to the end of theirs, I think they're on skill 4, they will be retesting that as a group in their curriculum. So the classroom teachers are using a lot of their curriculum interventions that come with Amplify and Envision, and then our title teachers take that a little deeper and focus on other science of reading based interventions. I listed some of them in there. Haggerty is one of them. And we focus mostly on reading, but they do also have plans for math as well. We've been really focused on doing reading every day, and we're trying to get into the routine of adding more math, even if it's just for part of the time, or some of the teachers are doing a couple days of math, a couple days of reading. So that's for first grade and kindergarten. And then preschool, we are really focusing on our pre-readiness skills, so pre-reading skills. We just assume a lot of these kids are going to come into kindergarten knowing all their colors and knowing like how to open a book and which direction it should go and shapes and a lot of numbers. Like we just start the ground running right away, and so they're really focusing on that, and then a lot of social skills too. So our preschool is all play-based. So they have a time where it's a little more structured, but a lot of it is the students get to choose where they go and the teachers interact with them as they're playing and then teach those skills as well. So if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer, but there's a lot of information in here. We got a lot of good things going on and, just a lot. I was really happy to talk with teachers and that they were really, looking at their own kids and developing their plans based on what the kids need and not just an overall, we're all going to be working on this. So I think we got a good plan. Any questions?
Good stuff. Sounds great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And then finally, we've had several committee reports. Mrs. Wagner asked if I would share just some of the highlights from the DEA Professional Relations Committee. We talked about the Envision, which is our math series. They are coming on site, correct? March 3rd through the 5th, the coach is in to provide support, guidance, techniques to our teachers. The elementaries are very interested in doing a classroom party survey of parents, so they're working on developing a survey and looking at, is it something we want to continue? If we continue it, is it the same? Are there different things that we'd like to be doing? We've had discussions because with an entire unit district, a lot of times we try to avoid having more than one thing on an evening so that our kids and our parents can attend as many as possible. Sometimes it's able to be done and sometimes not. So we're having discussions on, can we get a district-wide calendar? That way, if someone is looking to have an event, an activity, we have certain things that are automatically in place, like athletics, and different things that are scheduled because of the conferences we're in. So we're having discussions on, can there be a district-wide calendar so we can try to diversify as much as possible. They have been working at the high school on discussions of staffing and co-teaching for next year's, as well as IA study halls and discipline, looking at what referrals should be written for, what they should not be written for, how can they be clear, so they're working through that as a staff. At our next meeting, we're gonna look, it's that time of year, where we look at our staff general information bulletin, hopefully get the party survey out and start getting responses back. And we're having a discussion on curriculum facilitator term limits. Do we want to take a look at, and so we're constantly looking at how are we developing our next set of leaders. And we don't want to wipe out an entire, there's a lot of them, I think there's over 22 of them, is that correct? Over 22 facilitators. You want to take all 22 out every year and have to start over, but can we somehow take a look at that and have term limits so we continue to develop leaders within our grade levels, within our departments, within our buildings, and maybe some of those might want to become administrators one day. So That's what we talked about in DEA PRC. Want to talk about community engagement committee?
Boy, do I.
Talk away.
Talk away. Not a whole lot of, but we're still working on our initiative of the attendance situation and the attendance epidemic maybe, and about how we're going to engage with the community on that. So we're developing kind of a social media or marketing campaign around that, around informing the community, including parents, students, and everyone about how much of an impact it is when kids do miss school. We've got some good things. What's that?
We're getting closer.
Yeah, we're getting a lot closer.
Yeah.
Slowly, step by step, but yeah, hoping to have a website, some banners that eventually seen around town, things like that. So it's coming.
What
That's
else
that.
have we had? We had board policy, but we talked about those policies already.
Curriculum we met last Thursday. All right, geez, a week already. Yeah, I mean, just kind of keeping on with the ELA and math. You know, we've been making progress with that. Talked about professional development. Being there is no summer symposium this year, so talking about options that that staff could get their continuing education learnings through the year. And not miss out, so communication to that to the staff, letting them know, so they don't hit summer and go, oh shoot, I need my hours. So, so just communication of that. So, that was quick synopsis of it. I mean, am I missing anything?
They all gave a report on their pacing, where they were
Okay.
with the amplified vision, and they're where they need to be. So that's a good thing. But otherwise, yeah, you covered it all.
Okay.
Anything else we missed? Okay, moving on to superintendent's report. We have moved to an every other year format, and so this summer will be your board retreat. And we will send out official calendar invites and reminders. But mark your calendars for Monday, July 21st, 2025. Plan on it being an all-day long event, meaning, you know, usually around 8 to 5 a.m., or not 8 to 5 a.m. overnight, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. We're actually going to have it this year at the Nechusa Grasslands.
Oh, nice.
They presented to the Rotary Club that I'm a member of, and they came back, and Aaron went out and did a whole kind of reconnaissance, what's out there. They're gonna give us even a tour of the grasslands and the bison out there. So we can, you know, recharge our batteries either before or after lunch. So the focus of this retreat is to review the board goals and to set new goals moving forward for the next 2 years. So we will get invitations out for all of that. Wanted to give you, there was one thing that did not get on the agenda under superintendent's report, and that was the executive search. As you know, you all engaged the Illinois Association of School Boards, I think it was 2 meetings ago, to do your executive search for the new superintendent after my retirement after next year. And so I have sent out to all of the board a survey. And you have until next Friday, the 28th, to complete that survey, so please make sure that you do that. And today, the survey for staff, parents, guardians, and our community went live. So around 4 o'clock this afternoon, all things started showing up on our social media. The letter that IASB helped us draft went out about the importance of giving their ideas on the characteristics, the skill sets, and the qualities that a new superintendent should have. Right behind you is the homepage on our website, and if you look under We Are Hiring, you will see click here for the superintendent search survey. So I've asked Kyman Husen, who does a lot of our work with our website and our Thrill Share announcements. I've asked every other day between now and next Friday to do reminders of this is out there, that you have approximately 9 days to complete it. It's very important. This is the opportunity for everybody to think about, what are those skill sets? What are those characteristics? What are those qualities you want to see in a superintendent that the board hires? They include this as a part of their packet of, hiring Dixon Public Schools, hiring a new superintendent. Here's the information they need to know. So if they look at it and they say, I don't have those skill sets, or that isn't who I am as a leader, hopefully they won't apply for Dixon. So it is the next turnaround. They will then, it is a totally anonymous survey. I want to reiterate that to everybody. Nothing comes to me, nothing comes to the board. It actually all goes to the Illinois Association of School Boards. They will compile all of those results. They will share them with the board. I believe it is in March, it might be April. And then I will also share that information probably out on our website as well, letting the folks know about what we're looking for. So it's the next phase of the process. They've also asked me to start giving information, and I just had Mark do the financial piece of it. That creates the entire posting that they put out for a new superintendent. So we're talking about everything from how many kids in K through 5 to what are the athletics and activities, what are the associations that you belong to. It even goes into our community. What are the religious institutions that are in our community? What other kind of hot spots or things are Dixon known for? It's really kind of fun to sit and reflect on that, because Dixon is just a great place to be. And so this is all a part of getting this posting ready. So it will be probably going out. And I believe, if you remember from Jim and Carmen discussing this, this will be probably midsummer that it will get ready to go out. So the board can have through late summer and early fall to see who's out there for candidates. It's very exciting.
So on the survey, I see that there's a link to it on the website. How else are people going to find out about the fact that the survey exists if they don't visit the website to happen?
If they don't visit the website, it's on all of our social media. The other thing I plan to do through ThrillShare is to do a phone call, a robocall as we call them, or the automated call, as well as automated texts.
And that goes to all parents?
That goes out to all parents and all staff, and lets them know. And I also gave it to the media tonight so they could hopefully get it on WIXN. And I know if I had anything to the paper, they would also put information in.
Love to get as much information as we can from the community and use the newspaper, the WIXN. That's great.
Absolutely.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Thanks.
That was one piece, I think, during that presentation was, I think, key on them doing it, was getting all this information compiled. And it's not just the board makes the ultimate decision, but as we said, we want the input of the community, staff, the community. We don't want anyone to be not involved in this process, and this is the way to be involved. So you reach out there.
And I may have sent out the information, to the staff and to that, and that's why I wanted to reiterate about it being a totally anonymous process. We don't collate anything. As a matter of fact, I was telling Erin, I said, I think it's my last little official duty of getting this ready, other than getting the kind of Dixon area information ready for the posting, because as you heard them say, it's a piece where then I kind of step away, because this is a board decision, and taking all that information and moving on from there.
Yeah. It feels important that it's the board driving this process.
Yes.
I love everything you do, and you're amazing at it, and I feel like we have to hire someone. This is our job to do that, and it needs to be us driving the process and owning that.
We always say, you hire one person.
Right.
You approve everybody else's recommendations for hiring, but the board has one hire, and that's this position.
So
I'll get out of your way.
I'm excited for Linda to step up into that role and rock and roll.
Yep. So the great part was, I appreciate everything IASB is doing, because even the letter that went out, and you'll see it posted in various places, they constructed the letter for us.
Yep.
So all we had to do then is sign Linda's name as far as the Board of Education and the board president and send it out. So they've been very helpful that way. We've appreciated it.
Yep, great.
Second or third on our list is I wanted to give you an update from the fall harvest. Here we are into winter and looking at things, spring planting at our Britton property and the acreage that we have out on the Dixon property behind the Dempsey School is we have had a switch. And if you remember about a year and a half ago, we were always working with Salk, and they were helping us with our planting and some of their ag programming. And when we finally got our ag programming up and going and our FFA club, we have been using local farmers to help us with our planting and our harvesting. And we are still working with Sauk Valley Community College on things. I don't want to negate what they've done, but we have really used, Aaron Book is a local farmer who has helped us with our planting and our harvesting, as well as Applequist Farms. And so Aaron came over to me about 2 weeks ago and said, I wanted to let you know what the yield was, and gave me all of the particulars that they got, how long. It's really amazing how long it takes to actually pick the land and till the land, and it's such an incredible process. So I went back and did a little bit of digging on what we've had, and again, we are supremely thankful to Sauk Valley Community College and all that they've done for us. I went back and took a look at what our yields were since 2019, when we first started planting, to 2024, when we ended our official contract with Sauk Valley Community College. And we have had revenues for our yields in the area of $47,353.50. So that averages about $9,470.70 per year. So what we've done with that over the last years, where we've paid for any ag classes, we did anyone who wanted to take ag classes before we had our ag pathway at Dixon High School, we paid for their college courses and their books at Sauk. Now that we have our own ag and it feeds into that, we will still pay for any dual enrollment fees that any student at Dixon High School wants out of this. So when Mr. Book came and wanted to let me know what the yield was and what the district would be having for revenue, the yield off of the Britton property, as well as the acreage out at Dempsey, this year will yield us $53,000. Now, if you remember, we had Sauk, we split the money.
Usually we don't count a yield
A
in
yield?
dollars. Usually it's like bushels.
Bushels. I got all the bushels and then what they pay us for the bushels. So the revenue,
why I'm
not the
smiling.
yield. Not a farm girl here. And so the revenue that's coming into us very shortly here is $53,000, more than what we've done over the past 5 years. So it's very exciting. Again, if you remember, we had that partnership with Sauk where we split whatever the revenue was, and then they took out anything for any of the machines, the gas, the time, the labor, the seeds, the fertilizer, anything that we have. Are these wonderful, generous farmers who are working with us, they charge us nothing. They have all revenue come back to the district. So it's very exciting. We're very appreciative. I've already talked with Mr. Shaner about having a standing amount. We're going to have at least $10,000 for the Ag Pathway program. So if there are certain things that are needed every year before Mr. Shaner has to go into his budget, we can utilize this money first. We're going to continue to pay for any dual enrollment fees for any student who goes out to Sauk, whether it's Ag Pathways or others. So the kids do not pay anything out of their pocket for the dual enrollment programs. We cover those costs. And we're going to be able to continue that, and it's just very exciting to see what's going on. And not to mention, They have used a lot of Dempsey for the FFA projects. They did a large soil project where they go out, they dig down into the soil, and they were able to do that out at the Dechusa property this year. They are a part of and work with planting and harvesting in the fall. So we are super appreciative of that, and it's very exciting to see what's coming up, as well as be able to give back to that program and other dual enrollment programs for our kids. Questions? Maybe I need to take that FFA pathway and get the right terminology.
You can do that in your retirement.
There you go, there you go. Just a reminder, the spring Northwest Division IASB meeting is March 31st. It is all the way in East Dubuque School District 119. It's a little over 2 hours to get there. But the great part is this is a hybrid meeting, and so you could go in person if you so choose. And if anyone wants to go, we will of course pay your mileage to and from. But right now we've only had virtual attending. So please make sure, I believe we have to have it in tomorrow. So if you are interested at all, please no later than Friday, I will say, make sure that you call Erin and let her know whether you want to go virtual. If you want to do virtually, you can do it in your own home. Or if you choose to be on site, we can certainly get you signed up for that as well and reimburse you for your mileage. Finally, we have had 4 FOIA requests since our last board meeting. Sherry Reed with Smart Procure has requested purchase order records from July 19th of 24 to date. Gary Shrimpshire from What's Up Ogle County requested personnel and disciplinary items on an employee. Eric Brown requested disciplinary items on an employee. And Wood Park with the Data Branch Research Team requested purchase orders from January 1st, 2020 to present. And we have complied with all of these requests. Any questions? Do we need to go into executive session for the personnel item, or can we do the personnel and then go into executive session? There will be no action coming out of executive session.
Do that.
Okay, good. Thank you.
All right. Board of Education approves the following personnel items. New hires: Melissa Stowell, paraprofessional at Thomas D. Dempsey School. Leslie Robinson, paraprofessional at Washington School. Erica Harshman, parapro at Washington School. James Richard, 3-hour day lunchroom attendant at Reagan Middle School. All effective immediately. Change in status: Alicia Olson from lunchroom attendant to paraprofessional at Madison School, effective February 20th. Resignations: Jill Ridenour, health assistant at Dempsey School. Rhonda Zink, paraprofessional at Thomas D. Dempsey School. Paige Sutton, 3rd grade teacher at Jefferson. Julie Meridian, 4th grade special ed teacher at Madison. Miranda Moen, agricultural teacher at Dixon High School, all effective immediately with the exception of Julie and Miranda at the end of the 24 year. 24-25 Dixon High School coaches, all effective next year. Brandon Woodward, assistant boys track. Ethan Fox, assistant boys track. Stephen Sulfridge, assistant boys track. Split stipend with J.D. Geeson. Grace Wadsworth, group interpretation, shared with Ben Leitner. 24-25 volunteer coaches: Colin Grady, Dixon DHS boys track. And coaches resignations: Darian Thorpe, effective January 3rd, 2025 for DHS volleyball. Motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions?
Mrs. LeBlanc Parks? Aye. Mr. Wadsworth?
Aye.
Mr. Fritz?
Aye.
Mrs. Schaefer?
Aye.
Mr. Rogers?
Aye. Close the part that I messed up wrong with.
We close the meeting and then,
All right, make a motion to close meeting and go into executive session.
Do you have to read the executive session? I don't know. I just feel like Linda always goes through.
Oh, here you go.
Yep.
Found it.
Yep.
Sorry, next
that's
page.
okay.
You got it.
That's okay.
I need a motion to go into closed session for purpose of discussing appointment, employment, compensation, and discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees, including hearing testimony on a complaint lodged against an employee to determine its validity. Collective negotiation matters between the public body and its employees or their representatives, or deliberations concerning salary schedules for one or more classes of employees, and also student disciplinary cases. Motion to adjourn
So moved.
to closed session, sorry.
Second.
That's 7:32. Mr. Fritz?
Aye.
Mrs. LeBlanc Parks?
Aye.
Mrs. Schaefer?
Aye.
Mr. Wadsworth?
Aye.
Mr. Rogers?
Aye.